Thanks to these videos, you get to see how differently the Royal Guard treats elderly people. This is very different from how they react to the average tourist, which is almost always professional. You already know that the Royal Guards are trained to remain stoic no matter the situation. The guards would maintain their composure even when tourists get disrespectful. However, once in a while, these graceful elders would visit, and the Royal Guards would shockingly change the way they interact with them. Let's explore this different side of the Royal Guards. As we get into it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell to be notified about our new stories. This elderly nun came to appreciate the dedication of the Royal Guards to their duty, something she herself is no stranger to. But when she came close for a picture, she clearly had no idea of the rules, so she stood too close to the horse and went for the reins immediately after she got there. If it were a normal situation, the guard would have yelled at any tourist pulling on the reins, but since the culprit was this elderly nun, the guard decided to remain very respectful and didn't want to shout at her, so he simply tugged at the reins. This caused the nun to briefly remove her hand. However, she forgot and put her hands on the reins again, and this time it was one of the tourists who reminded her not to repeat the same mistake. This elderly tourist seemed to have trouble finding her way around the grounds. These police officers were on hand to help her out. The interaction between these two gentlemen was so cordial, it was obvious that this wasn't their first time meeting. And you can see how accommodating the Royal Guard was, readily answering every question the older man had. Even the horse was clearly fine with the older man touching it. And when the lady came around, she got the same respectful treatment. This was a very rare occurrence, and you can see the surprise on the other lady's face. When you saw the lady led the elderly couple to the other ark and raised the chain, you probably asked, what was she doing? And it is almost like she heard you asking because she immediately dropped the chain and stepped back. When the Royal Guard started marching toward the group, we were all waiting for him to yell at the group. But imagine the other tourists' shock when the guard removed the chain to allow the lady and the elderly couple to enter the archway. You can see the other tourists almost numb from the shock, thinking, what the heck is happening?
I would never go outside.
This graceful tourist was just so awed to be in the presence of the Royal Guards. And you can see it in his actions, the way he stood, putting enough space between himself and the horse. After getting his picture, he turned to the guard and bowed out of respect for his dedication, not considering his age. This is how highly esteemed the guards are in some people's books. This elderly lady was clearly having a great day visiting the Royal Guard and their horses at work. What made her day better was the fact that she could document all of those memories. You can see the way she is smiling as she poses for pictures with the horse, and how she gently pats it after. She even decided to thank the guard for giving her the opportunity to take pictures. Talk about being grateful.
The stars light up the sky.
The gentleman was so eager to take a picture with the royal serviceman and his horse that he didn't bother to look at the rules. This was why he crossed the line and entered into the box to start very close to the horse. This mistake should have earned the tourist a loud "Step out of the box." Instead, the Royal Guard, out of respect for the age of the tourist, decided to tell him to step back quietly. The man didn't seem to understand the guard's instructions and only moved back a few steps. It took the other guard to come out and gently get the tourist out of the box. And immediately, the old man understood his mistake. He quickly jumped out. This older woman walked into the box for a picture, and the guard probably noticed that she had broken the rule. However, instead of yelling at her, this guard broke protocol and allowed her to remain and take her picture. The horse must have felt its rider's energy and didn't get excited when the woman moved too close. It simply gave her a head hug, which even surprised the recipient. Another tourist would have gotten their clothes torn or, even worse, gotten themselves bitten. This elderly couple was simply enjoying this brief time with the horses. But with the crowd of tourists that wanted pictures around them, they had to keep it moving. You can see the disappointment on the woman's face as she lives with her husband. She would have wanted more time with the gentle beast. The horse had been a bit aggressive to the younger lady, and it obviously didn't want her any closer. This forced the lady to leave, but as the older woman approached, the horse moved its head to meet her, allowing her to touch its nose, showing that it liked this elderly person better. This tourist even got to touch the horse twice, but she had to move away because of the number of other tourists waiting to take a picture. We doubt if any other person had the connection that this elderly tourist had with the horse.
Worst nightmare came true. Yep, she is for sure going to remember this. You know girl horses bite.
Why would you put your hands in the mouth of a strange horse that has been bred for war and standing without activity for at least an hour? If this was her first time seeing a real-life horse, which is probably not the case, she should have done better to contain her excitement. And if she really loved horses, the best way to fully connect with them wasn't by shoving her hands into their mouths. This is definitely the last time she would ever try to connect with a horse. Another example of what the older folks don't do? This.
Example, this girl who chose to channel her inner dancing teacher in front of a guard in an attempt to make him laugh.
Was that supposed to be cute and funny? The Royal Guard definitely didn't find it cute and funny. Look at how he immediately stomped his foot and turned away from that nonsense. These content creators are simply something else entirely. How would she feel if she was at work at an office job, and while she was busy, a man stood by her desk and started dancing? She will most definitely teleport to HR and lodge the biggest complaint about that co-worker. Then how could she think disturbing a royal guard at work was a great idea? This was a humbling experience for her as the guard immediately turned his back and marched away. The royal guards, as protectors of royalty, have undergone rigorous training and are widely known for their insane discipline and self-control, which is why they oftentimes try not to react when the younger population of tourists tries to provoke them. As you must have seen, when the guards are pushed too far, younger tourists only realise that they have made a terrible mistake when they suffer the wrath of the royal guard. But these videos show that these same guards have displayed empathy and kindness towards tourists, even when they have had to deal with the younger, less respectful folks. Clearly, the elderly tourists avoid such horrible situations that would lead to a bad experience because they choose not to test the guards, understanding that these soldiers are doing a great service to their country and should be respected for that. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell to receive our new stories.